I do believe that the economic challenges presented by our relationship with China are really very, very serious, very formidable. I'm not entirely convinced that they've been addressed in that manner, not now, I mean over the last 20 years. I want to remind some of you that about, in fact in 2006, we could actually even have contemplated an FTA with China. This was a goal which was agreed to between the governments of India and the governments of China when President Hu Jintao, am I correct, was visiting India. At that time, it looked something which was reasonable because it was an optimistic era of the relationship. It was a time when people felt that, Chinese presence would grow, our presence would grow, somewhere we would find maybe not a perfect balance, but some kind of balance. It was predicated on the fact that there would be reasonable market access to the Chinese economy. And in fact, I remember meeting Mr. Narayan Murthy in Shanghai when he too came with that expectation in mind. The reality has turned out to be something very, very different. And in fact, what happened was not just unequal market access, there was very little northward market access. We actually saw migration of business, not migration of company, migration of business, meaning the businesses which used to be done in India actually migrated to China, obviously under Chinese ownership. And the result of what we see today, the very, very severe imbalance, is an accumulation of all of that. Now, it's very, this, by the way, becomes a very, sometimes I'm trying to find a polite adjective here, let us say a dumbed down political debate. It isn't. It's a very serious matter. And the responsibility here is not just of the government. It's an equal responsibility of businesses. If we have today a huge imbalance of trade with China. Now, again, anybody doing trade will not have a problem with an imbalance per se. It is nobody's contention, unless you are Donald Trump, that every trade account must be accurately balanced. Economics doesn't work that way. But when there is this kind of imbalance, where comparative advantages do not matter at all, where there are a lot of non-market factors at play, that production is determined by non-market factors, but you're giving entry on the basis, you're giving market access, assuming that this is some kind of market competition. So there's something fundamentally flawed here. And as I said, a lot of it depends on Indian corporates. That Indian corporates haven't developed the kind of backwards vendor supplies and components and parts and ingredients and intermediates that should be supporting us. And again, you could argue maybe the government didn't do enough. I think that's a reasonable point. So we are today trying to change this culture, but I do think if there is a big China debate to be had in this country, it needs to be actually focused on what is it we should do to rectify what is clearly a very unsatisfactory state of affairs.
As a token of our appreciation, we'll be gifting you a book by the Pune International Center on how India should approach the China challenge, how India should approach the China question. I hope the government does take some of these suggestions on board. But thank you very much, all three ministers. Thank you for being with us.